Hello and welcome to the first ever video of Transfer News Live, the Transfer News Live, and you now have the opportunity to get in at the early stages and get involved with this community that we're going to build here. We've already got 2.6 million followers on X, 1.7 million followers on Facebook, and 208,000 on Instagram, so we thought it's time to start a YouTube channel, and we've got some big Manchester United news to bring you as well, so let's dive straight in. Make sure you're hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and get involved. Update on Matheus Cunha to start with the likeliness sounding like he's very much on his way to Manchester United. This sounds likely with a 62.5 million release clause. Fabrizio Romano has first laid his concrete foundations to this transfer saga for his link to Manchester United on April the 21st. He said Manchester United are leading the race to sign Matheus Cunha from Wolves as negotiations are ongoing. Personal terms are being discussed as Man United are aware of more clubs keen, plus 62.5 million release clause available. Good feelings after initial contacts between Cunha and Manchester United. Extremely exciting if you're a Manchester United fan, absolutely. Fabrizio provided another update regarding the payment, and this was on April the 24th. Manchester United maintain optimism for Matheus Cunha deal as the clubs feel he really wants the move. Champions League football is not expected to be a factor, with Cunha keen on the move, so that's regardless of whether they have or haven't got Champions League football to play next season, which is big for Manchester United. As Man United would be ready to pay the 62.5 million release clause in instalments if Wolves approve. So Wolves need to approve that deal to go ahead first of all, and I think the fact that it's in installments might put a spanner in the works potentially, but this one is still starting to sound very likely. He then provided another update, did Fabrizio, good old Fabrizio, and this is now suggesting that the contract is in at the final stages, and this was as of April the 28th. Manchester United keep working to seal Matheus Cunha deal very soon. Plan confirmed since 1 week ago. Negotiations underway on final contract details for the Brazilian who's keen on joining the project. Now, I mean, you've got to be excited for Manchester United, but let's have a look at his profile first of all. He's 25 years old, entering his peak years. So the market value of 55 million euros, but we know full well already that Fabrizio has already confirmed that United are willing to meet the release clause of 62.5 million. Whether that's in installments and whether Wolves accept that remains to be seen, but still, it sounds very likely. He's played left wing, centre forward, and even behind the striker this season for Wolves so far. So where does he fit in for Manchester United? That's a key question. So let's have a quick look at his basic stats so far this season, which has very much put him on the map. 17 goals. Got an XG of 7.9, so he's massively overperforming. Hugely overperforming there. He's got a goals per 90 ratio of 0.59, and he's got 6 assists with 0.21 assists per 90 to his name. So huge goal involvements there. 23 goal involvement for Wolves this season. From a side that was very close to staring relegation at the face, impressive numbers. Now, United fans, where's he going to fit? In that system that Manchester United like to play, the 3-4-3 with the wing-backs going round the outside. I think for me, I think there is definitely a position that he could play, but I mean, it remains to be seen whether he will definitely fit into this United side comfortably. And Paul Scholes doesn't seem to think so either, because Paul Scholes said, I just worry for any signing coming to Manchester United at the minute. It just feels like it's such a bad place to go. The quality of play right now is so poor. With Cunha, is he a centre forward or is he a wide player? There's no doubt that he has the quality, and of course it would be nice to sign him, but I worry about where he fits in. You can sign the best 3 players in the world, and I think they'll struggle coming into this team at the minute. But they've got to start somewhere. So where does he fit in? There is going to be a video coming for you soon from Statman Dave within a week or so. So brace yourself for that. Subscribe, hit that notification bell to be notified of that video, because we're going to deep dive here on Transfer News Live into how is Matheus Cunha potentially going to fit into Manchester United's starting 11. And that's going to be brought to you by the one and only Statman Dave. So make sure you tune in for that. Let's have a look at the chance meter now. This is going to be a running theme on Transfer News Live. We're going to go with here the chance meter. What are the chances of this transfer going ahead? bit of a drum roll. I'm going to go with a 9. I think this is very, very likely. I think this is extremely likely, especially considering the man who is providing you this information with Fabrizio Romano. I think we can expect a here we go. I really do. I think we can expect a here we go. But what do you think? Manchester United fans, get in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Moving on to Gyökeres. Now, for me, it would be a big deal, and it very much hinges on Champions League football for me because of the player and what his aspirations are going to be for the next season or so. But Fabrizio Romano and Florian Plettenberg of Sky Germany have recently stated that United are still keen. And that's all we've got so far on the Gyökeres deal so far. But let's have a quick look at his profile as well. 26 years old. Contract expires in 2028. It's got a market value of 75 million euros, which is big money for United, who definitely are complying with PSR. They have to comply with PSR because as much as they've got a big bucket of money to spend as they used to, not as much as they used to. So they very much have to comply with the new regulations at play here. With the reported release clause of 80 million euros, and it's widely reported as well that Sporting are still willing to sell for around 55 to 70 million. So even though the market value is at 75, United may be able to prize him out of Sporting Lisbon for cheaper than that, around 70 million euros. And I think that's Sporting Lisbon showing some respect for the loyalty that Viktor Gyökeres showed them during January when he had plenty of suitors that were willing to pay for his services. Let's have a quick look at his stats. Just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous numbers for Gyökeres. 53 goals. It's just stupid. You're getting into Haaland territory here, big time, in terms of the ratio, the minutes, the goals. Absolutely sensational from Viktor Gyökeres for me. And yeah, to the detriment of anyone else who doesn't sign him. With Arsenal being the heaviest linked alongside Manchester United, it would be interesting to see if either of those sign Viktor Gyökeres, then the Premier League know that they've got serious opposition going up against either Arsenal or United, whoever he may sign for. But 53 goals with an XG of 33.6 is unbelievable overperforming. But he's still chopping in with the assists as well. Really, really impressive numbers. But chances, in terms of the actual chances of Viktor Gyökeres going to United, I think United and PSR, there's still definitely a situation going on there. I'm not convinced that Manchester United do have the money. And if it would be wise to spend all that money that they do have, or the available money that they do have, on one superstar blockbuster signing, where I think it would be better spent on more pragmatic signings, maybe ones that are a little bit younger. We've got an alternative transfer about to give you as well for Manchester United. I think it's going to be a difficult one for United to get over the line. Of course, you've got the Ruben Amorim and Gyökeres relationship as well, so the two know each other as well. And I mean, I think City would be a little bit disappointed at this, knowing that Hugo Viana is the man who actually signed him for Sporting Lisbon, who is now the sporting director at Manchester City, when they signed him from Coventry, doing his homework well and doing his due diligence. And now he could be on his way to Manchester United and back to the UK, having already been familiar with the world of Coventry. I'm sure it's a lovely place. I'm sure it's lovely. I've never been. But like I said, they will face competition. And I mean, any top club that needs a striker right now is going to be interested in Viktor Gyökeres. And I think mainly Arsenal. I think they probably have just a bit more of a chance than United. But let's go to the chance meter again. I'm going to give it a 5. I'm going to give it a 5. What do you give it? Manchester United fans, what do you think the chances are of you signing Viktor Gyökeres? But there are alternative options for you out there. Not quite as glamorous, but still a decent option for me. Liam Dilap is a name that's been often cropping up for Manchester United transfer rumours. And I mean, again, United face competition. Newcastle, Chelsea, Spurs, all interested in the player. But the facts are that Newcastle have got Isak. So if they're interested in him, what does that mean for the future of Isak? Could Isak leaving Newcastle start a couple of dominoes to tumble? You know, I think that's the case. If Arsenal were to sign Isak because they're reportedly interested in him as well, then maybe that opens the door for Gyökeres to United. And in which case, then where does Liam Dilap go? So there's lots of interesting puzzles on the chessboard, pieces on the chessboard right now that intrigue the puzzle of what is going to happen for centre forwards in the Premier League next season. I think it's a fascinating area to discuss. But don't forget, City as well actually have a buyback clause. Obviously, Manchester City have Haaland and Marmoush currently in their rosters right now. So it's very unlikely for Manchester City to actually trigger that release clause, but still. The reported wage demands as well, they're big for a 22-year-old as well. £150,000 a week, which would Spurs with, obviously, they've got Solanke as well, Isak at Newcastle. that would make that Newcastle one of their top earners. Can they afford those wages? You know, going straight in as a 22-year-old to become your top earner, I think it's a big ask for the likes of Spurs and Newcastle, who tend not to pay those sort of wages. Whereas United, they've been known to spend a fair bit of money, United, haven't they? Let's put it that way. Even though there's a 30 million release clause and that dropped from 40 million, I still think because of the wages, this is going to equate to quite an expensive deal. But I think it's going to be an interesting one, I really do. There are a lot of irrelevancies in his profile, apart from his age. As you can see, he's 22 years old. And I think that goes towards what United are interested in right now, in the fact that they are definitely looking at younger players rather than the blockbuster 28-year-olds. Buying younger age, a bit more pragmatic approach from United, and hoping that they can blossom into something even bigger for the future, especially when PSR is involved. You have to buy them when they're younger and therefore a little bit cheaper, and maybe grow them into these superstar players that they want them to become. I think Liam Dilap fits that bill for that regard. But his contract expires, does Liam Dilap, in 2029, and he's got a market value of 35 million euros, which you can completely ignore because he's now got a release clause that can be triggered since the relegation. Let's have a look at his stats. Doesn't come close to Gyökeres, does he? Or even Cunha, to be honest. But you have to factor in this is a relegation battling side, or relegated now side in Ipswich, with 12 goals, an XG of 9.1. So still overperforming, not chipping in with too many assists in all honesty, but he is very much a centre forward. I like him. I think he's a very good player, incredibly promising. You have to remember the age as well. So albeit the players United have been linked with, Cunha being 25 and Gyökeres being 26, 22 years old, I think that means there's a big possible future for Liam Dilap. But chances, let's have a look at the chances of Liam Dilap joining Manchester United. Champions League football, I'm not sure that's going to be a big priority for Liam Dilap right now, because he's so young. He's going from Ipswich, just getting a taste. He's had a little taste of Premier League football. How important will Champions League football be to him right now at this stage in his career? I think it absolutely is, and I think within a year, I think he'll be wanting to play Champions League football, but I think he'll be willing to miss this year in terms of Champions League football. So I think this is a deal United could get over the line, regardless of whether they win that Europa League and get into the Champions League or not. And for me, I think this is more realistic than Gyökeres, definitely, and the reports we're hearing on Transfer News Live is he's already held talks and concrete talks, and they've gone well with United as well. So, I mean, if Chelsea can offer Champions League football, though, that puts a different spin on it. And if United can't, I think that probably edges towards Chelsea as his personal preference. But let's go to the chance meter again. Oh, I'm going to go a 7. I'm going to go with a 7 for Liam Dilap. What do you give it? What do you give all of these 3 transfer rumours, United fans? Because I'm really interested to hear your thoughts. Is this the answer for United fans as well? Because the possibilities are very exciting from a goal perspective. United are definitely attracting goal-scoring players with these 3 names. But what about the rest of the pitch? There's plenty of other areas that United need work for me. But what do you think? Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button to Transfer News Live, the first ever video. Subscribe, support the channel. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.